the technology categories, and then we will present a bit about our portfolio, and then giving you some insights about sustainable advantages of metallic inks versus the alternatives in other technologies. And then, of course, we will have some time, hopefully, for your questions. You can just post them during the meeting. We'll try to answer later. And, well, if there's not enough time or if it's a bit more complex, then we would like to come back via email directly to you. Okay. Yeah, here, first of all, regulatory perspective. It's a very interesting matter with especially UV, LED curing inks because of the potentials of migratable substances. And of course, beside that, we still having sometimes hurdles, obstacles, which we have to meet. And there are some new and some existing things which we have to handle with. First of all, mineral oil might be in many cases an aspect which we have to take care for. Then how about the listing status, Swiss ordinance, Nestle list, and so on, all the regulatory requirements. Which products are suitable for food packaging? This is always a question requested to us because in our portfolio, well, we have both, but now the focus is, of course, more on food packaging, just for some other environmental reasons as well. And last not least, also the country listing is of very much importance because of not all raw materials are available in every country and are not registered, and therefore we have to make sure that our portfolio meets all the requirements in all countries, but there might be not always overlapping or not always one product fits all, but we have to look in detail which kind of regulatory requirements are given in the country where the products are sold, and therefore also answer the question about the regulatory status of the products. Here, as to start in, what is the regulatory requirement of the country where the products have to be sold in and where they are used in the end? Possibly you as a potential customer, you might ask, okay, I don't want only to have the product being compliant for the market here, but also it has to be compliant for markets where the product is finally used to, or whether the printed products are sold into. Therefore, this has to be answered at the very first stage already. Therefore, ECKART has prepared documents to provide the regulatory status, the so-called ERI documents. And these give already the country listing and regulatory status, especially also with the national inventories. So a first check can already then give you the answer, are these products suitable for my area, my field of application, my end use? And additionally, we have of course, this material safety data sheets where also a lot of other information is given, but which might be a hurdle, an obstacle for your end use. So I'll try to give you a little bit an overview now on the regulatory specifics which we have. First of all, there are national laws existing, chemical inventories worldwide. There are national laws like the Swiss ordinance for packaging materials. In China, there are others also for tobacco, for additives allowed in plastic, food contact, and so on. There are so many different regulations. In the United States, there's the Food and Drug Administration, which have their positive lists on allowed material for the end users. Yeah, and also, of course, in South America now, there are lots of national regulations going into law. Additionally, from the industry side, there are brand owners lists which are available, for example, from the tobacco companies or from big food giants like Nestle, or packaging supplier like Tetra Pak. And additionally, in the ink association, for example, in Europe, it's the EUPIA, European Printing Ink Manufacturers Association, who was clearly stating which products, which substances are not not to be used anymore. So this is also a kind of self restriction on raw materials, which of course we as ECKART, we are following, as we are a member of EUPIA. And yeah, this is of course a self-understanding, as here mainly CMR raw materials are listed. And furthermore, there are of course European laws, or in every continent there are specific laws with regard to chemical inventories like REACH, or the Commissioner regulation giving details on safety for plastics, for example, intended for contact for food. There's a GMP regulation. There's a food contact regulatory directive of the European Union, and also, for example, a resolution AP 89/1, which is for colorants in plastic materials coming in contact with food. So a lot of regulations. Beyond then, we still have a toy safety directive. We have regulations for biocidial products. So a lot of regulations which are relevant for our formulations, for our application, and actually also the marketing in several countries, which are limiting and restricting the use of our products. This has to be made sure. Currently, or let's say since about 2 years, it is already in place, the law from the French government regarding reduction of mineral oil. This is partly in an impact on UV offset inks as well, as far as aluminum pastes are being used, which are coming from a mineral oil processing milling step. But basically, it is a large impact on conventional offset inks, as more or less in the past, all inks for offset printing are based on mineral oils. Since, of course, many, many years, there are also low migration inks available. There are specific food packaging inks available. But let's say from the volume-wise, a lot of inks were still based on mineral oil, and this is now changing. The limitations are shown here for the so-called MOSH, the mineral oil saturated hydrocarbons, and MOA, the aromatic hydrocarbons. There are strict limits, especially from 2025. And this is limiting, of course, also the use of some metallic pigments, as long as they are not coming from a suitable manufacturing process like ECKART has, specifically for food packaging, where still white spirit or mineral spirits are used. But in our case, we have, of course, the whole product series available for food packaging, and then we are completely safe regarding the mineral oils, which are limited here. What was the background for this? Of course, safe recycling possibilities for paper and carton-based packaging, in order to reduce or eliminate any mineral oils which might then in the circle of the paper manufacturing, as paper pulp might come into reuse and recycle for new paper materials, as there are no accumulations of mineral oils possible in the future. Currently in the circle, there is still enough mineral oil available, and now this is the initial start that this will not happen in the future, that step by step the amounts are reduced. As I mentioned, for LED curing, we have the right products already in place there, which are free of mineral oil, and the product range for conventional offset printing is also changing already. Furthermore, we are providing data sheets which inform you on the mineral oil content for any of the products you are buying from us, or which you intend to look at for your development. Another point is also the Swiss ordinance list, which I would like to mention here. Here's also a change from next year on in the description of Part A and Part B. Part B will be eliminated, which these are all substances which in the past were not evaluated and for their migration limit. So we only have to focus on substances which are evaluated regarding their migration potential, and then we will have a change in the formulation, that some of the products are, or some of the raw materials are not used in the formulation anymore. And for those substances which are not listed on Part A, only a migration limit of less than 10 parts per billion is possible. Parts per billion is American, yeah. We have to make sure it parts per million. So this is still a very strict regulation, or a strict limit for substances with a limited migration level. Also, substances of the field of CMR raw materials, cancerogenic, mutagenic, or reprotoxic, are not permitted anymore. And ECKART, of course, is not using these anymore. There's also a lot of move around to eliminate products of high concern, like TMPTA and so on, which is already done or which is in the process to transfer to safe products in UV and LED. If you want to get information on the migration potential, we have a lot of certificates for many products of our food packaging grades in our portfolio. So there's all certification possible, and worst case calculations can be made.
Okay, coming to the next part, the technology categories. So we will give a short overview about the categories we want to split our portfolio, to explain what is used for what and what product can offer which solution depending on what you are looking for. So first of all, we have to separate the portfolio between the flexo ink portfolio and the offset ink portfolio, which is only true, of course, for the finished inks. The concentrates are mainly used for both applications, after all, when you formulate the ink with it. So the flexo printing, of course, you all know the application, but I shortly go into the general properties in which differentiates the two printing systems. So the flexo printing offers lower viscosity, and therefore the pigment can be easier moved in the ink itself. So the orientation properties of more liquid, lower viscosity ink formulations are, in combination with metallic pigments, usually better. Therefore, the expected metallic gloss levels are higher in flexo application compared to offset, where you have to adapt to the high viscosity system with the lots of the ink rollers within the machine. So there you have some technological advantages which are limiting the resulting effects. So it's two portfolios, and the Flexo portfolio usually has an easier way showing the more potential solutions, the higher brilliant solutions. Speaking of another technological difference, so we are speaking only about the curing inks today, and you can cure it with the mercury lamp, which is the more historic UV lamp. But of course, also nowadays more and more machines are equipped with the LED lamps, which makes a difference also in the ink formulation, because you need different photoinitiators for them, etc., etc. So the standard mercury lamp, of course, comes with its very wide UV spectrum, and of course this offers some advantage because it's quite simple to formulate the photoinitiators with the mercury lamp, as you have a very wide spectrum, as already mentioned. On the other hand, you have the ozone emission coming from the mercury lamp, and of course the mercury itself in the lamp might be an issue for the recycling when the lamp has reached its shelf life or its final end of life. On the other hand, the LED lamps, which are the technological successor, I would say, in the future, they have a super narrow spectrum, or not a spectrum at all. They only have one single wavelength typically. And so it's quite hard or more complex to formulate inks for LED lamps. But this is the struggle on our side. Or if you are an ink formulator, of course, also you know how to deal with it. On the other hand, LED lamps are quite energy saving. So this is already one advantage, that you can save a lot of electricity using LED lamps compared to mercury lamps. And of course, also you do not have the ozone emission, which is quite good for the printing room itself. Okay, coming to a very general property in combination, or speaking of metallic pigments, is the difference between non-leafing pigments and leafing pigments. So to have a good orientation in UV inks, we usually use leafing grade pigments. This means that the pigment swims up to the ink film surface and therefore can orient very well. You achieve a very high brilliance, a good gloss level, good coverage, etc., which comes at some cost. You have the pigment on the surface, so of course you can rub it off. It's on the surface, and of course the overprinting might be critical. So this needs to be tested. The adhesion on everything which is printed on top needs to be tested, and of course tinting property with leafing pigments is very, very much limited. So it's hard to achieve an imitation gold or a polychromatic metallic effect with leafing pigments, which brings me already to the non-leafing pigments. So why do we have non-leafing pigments if they do not look as good as the leafing grade pigments? It's the technical properties in general. So the non-leafing pigments, they are not as brilliant as the leafing grade pigments, but you have the advantage. You can tint them to a polychromatic effect very well. You can do your imitation gold. And of course, if you need a much better adhesion of an overprinting varnish or whatever, and the leafing pigment grade failed, you can try the non-leafing grade pigments, and this can solve a lot of the technical issues when you struggle with the leafing grades. So ultimately, we have two possibilities here. Very quick overview about the available pigment classes for UV curing inks. On the left side, you have the standard aluminum cornflake pigment, which looks like a cornflake. And so this offers good hiding power, a good metallic character, but of course also with the edges you see here on the scanning electron microscope picture, with the lots of the edges, you have a lot of scattering of the light, which makes it usually a little bit darker compared to the other aluminum pigment technologies, and sacrifices a little bit metallic character, a little bit brilliance. So coming to the silver dollar, which is the second picture from the left, you already notice very quickly that the edges are more round. There is far less edges which could scatter light. Therefore, the metallic character of the silver dollar-based inks is much more cleaner. It's a little bit more whitish compared to the cornflake, and a little bit more brilliant. And the next step in quality would be the metallopigments. The metallopigments, they have almost no edge. They are laying very smooth, and this comes from the pigment production. The metallopigment is based on the VMP process, so it's a vacuum metallized process, or vacuum metallized pigment, which is the PVD process, the physical vapor deposition process, and therefore the pigments are super thin and providing very strong hiding power, and of course our strongest or best metallic characters available in the market. And this is of course all the silver shades. We also have the gold shades in UV curing inks, so this is based mainly on gold bronze pigments, which are looking quite similar to the cornflake aluminum pigments. Coming to the gold bronze pigments on the next slide. A gold bronze pigment, for some of you who are new to the metallic pigment markets, or as a little reminder, they are based on copper and zinc alloy, and the more copper you have inside, the more reddish it is. The more zinc you have inside this alloy, the more greenish it is. So you can say 70 to 30 ratio between copper and zinc we call rich gold shade, which is also kind of the Pantone 871 shade. And on the more reddish side, the more copper containing side with 90% copper and 10% zinc, you have our standard pale gold shade, which is typically reflected in Pantone shade by 875. And another big difference between our products, of course, we have the standard inks, which are produced in our standard ink manufacturing process. And we also have the food packaging grade inks, which are produced under the GMP, the good manufacturing process. Good manufacturing process, GMP, strictly wants to separate a standard ink production from the low migration ink production, or in this case GMP production. And we have done this a little bit more than necessarily needed. We have a complete separate building, a complete separate warehouse. So by having this building here on our side, here in Germany, we are really making sure that there is no cross-contamination from standard raw materials or from standard equipment even. So it should be quite safe that our food packaging grades are really clean. And of course, further we are controlling this also by analytical support.
And for those who are confused, of course, GMP normally means practice, good manufacturing practice, but in our case, it's practice as well as process in its own.
Thank you.
Yeah, and next small chapter will be about our portfolio of LED UV curable inks. We have an overview of products which are showing the different possibilities, the potential of reaching metallic effects in standard silver, high gloss silver, or mirror-like silver. And here you can see from both LED types, either for offset as well as for flexo, which potential is there in order to achieve the best possible silver effect. In terms of offset, Michael has already explained why offset does not allow such a high mirror effect, like reverse printing on gravure. Possibly you know that here full mirror effect can be achieved in solvent-based inks or screen inks, but in offset, which is normally then all surface printed on board material on papers, then you have no chance to get a mirror effect, but at least a high gloss silver is possible. With flexo UV LED, thanks to the lower viscosity, the appearance is much more shiny. The flakes can orientate very well, and thanks to the special treatment of, for example, metallure-based pigments, who are basically a non-leaving flake, which is then stabilized and surface coated in order to achieve a leaving effect, they can already achieve mirror-like effects. And this is part of our portfolio, that we offer products which are suitable to replace other alternative applications like foil stamping or metallization. Here, a little bit an overview, the comparison flexo UV LED and offset UV LED, where are our brands standing for the premium effects. We can say well known possibly is Ultrastar as name for pigment pastes, for pigment inks for liquid applications like flexo and gravure. But the UV LED Ultrastar series is designed for flexo printing, while in the premium effect series, Topstar is designed for offset LED UV curing systems. In the standard range, there we have Rotostar as well as Metalstar, representing state-of-the-art technology in the market, special features, special look on the regulatory advancement of our formulation. Because here we have to say that dual cure technology is applied for all of these kinds of series, and all are also suitable, or we have products for especially for food packaging, where we have made sure that migration limits are met and tests for migration have been carried out. Just a few words on our top series in this field for offset: Topstar UV LED, also FPG, the 726 series, the rather new product with chrome effect, and it just represents the premium metallic ink for offset printing, and offers shiny and smooth effects, of course, thanks to the very thin pigment layer, or the pigment thickness, and therefore this smooth and shiny effects, new design options are possible with offset printing. Also, polychromatic effects can be achieved by overprinting with semi-transparent colored inks. For Metalstar, we have here, of course, gold bronze series with the Pantone shades 871 to 875, which are the standard range of metallics with gold shade, and then silver leafing product, which is then covering the silver shade. Also here, very established products, but giving you the additional feature They are suitable for both UV and LED curing, and they offer you safe usage for food packaging. For flexo application, we have Ultrastar as the brand, and here I just want to highlight one series which is quite long time in the market already, 10 years maybe, 8320, state-of-the-art product, relatively high pigment loading, lower particle size for better transfer, better printability. Very versatile, can be used for almost every substrate. And this is just one of the Ultrastar UV LED curable products. We have meanwhile, I think, about 3-4 different products, and they have all maybe some slight advantage here, some difference and end-use application there. This is just an example, and whenever you have an inquiry for mirror-like effects for flexo UV LED, then please contact us, because here maybe we can give you some specific recommendations. For the standard range, the 366 Rotostar series, as the successor of our very successful 166 series, these offer also dual cure technology now, consists also of a series of gold shades as well as leafing silver types. The standard range, but very much advanced regarding its new formulation, also taking into account all the latest changes which were needed to make them safe for the use according to different regulatory requirements. Then we also have raw materials, of course, for you. If you are developing inks, metallic inks by yourself, you have, of course, then also a premium effect series based on Metallure UV and a standard range called Rotovario UV LED. For flexo and offset, both can be used, because here, of course, the pigment itself does not limit the usage. Actually, these kind of concentrates are also used in screen UV, and potentially, if you have a gravure UV application, this could be basically also a potential use for this product series. In Metallure, we have meanwhile a quite wide range of different effects, ranging from so-called bright to brilliant and to chrome-like types. Here the differentiation is a bit difficult, because the difference in itself will be not that big. There's more or less a kind of slight technology difference between the particle thickness of the Metallure in the vapor metallization process of the base pigment, as well as in the particle sizing, where you can see here there's a range from 7 to 10 micron. And all these concentrates are specifically stabilized in order to give you maximum shelf life. At the same time, they also are created or equipped with a leafing effect. So all these high chrome effect pigments are going to the surface, leafing up in the UV curing system, and therefore have a very high brightness level. Both suitable for flexo and offset, of course. And then we have still, from our standard series, Rotovario, two series called UV FPG 950 and UV 900 on the next page. Here the FPG series are also the base pigment for our FPG products, the finished inks, and they can be very much utilized in formulation for different end users, both for offset and flexo predominantly, but basically also for screen printing UV. They are suitable, offering very smooth effects, suitable for of course, food packaging, and basically can be also, if additional photo initiators are added, be used with LED curing systems. Same for the UV 900 series, which is not suitable or not recommendable for food packaging, because here standard raw materials are used, which are not specifically tested for their migration limits. And also they are not produced in our specific plant for food packaging grades. But they offer a very nice alternative for non-food applications, also very shiny and versatile for many different substrates. Then last not least in this portfolio overview, we have a rather new paste product with non-leafing effect, based on a silver dollar, which also comes from actually from a non-leafing milling, and therefore a non-leafing property were not so difficult to achieve, and 5-micron particle size offering excellent coverage. Then, of course, with the feature of non-leafing, it offers a very good overprintability, a good tintability. So whenever you want to make polychromatic color shades, so polychromatic silvers, this will offer you the best possible effect, which is analogously to our non-leafing conventional offset ink, for example. The effects can be achieved same like in the traditional offset market. So a Pantone shade can be easily copied to UV technology. Yeah, once again, here the overview. You have to look in which kind of mirror effect or which kind of effect is required for your application. In some fields, it is not possible to create a mirror effect, but therefore, with Flexo, you have a rather high possibility and high chance to get mirror-like effects. And for your specific requests on which product series I can recommend, here's an overview for offset printing, because we have a wide product range. We have Top Star, we have Metal Star, and we have still a standard series called Unipack. There are not all of the ink series are suitable for all triple end users, food packaging, UV and LED, but at least there are, for every requirement, there is a product series available. Same for liquid inks for Flexo UV. On the next page, you can see Ultrastar, Ultra Shine, and Roto Star offer here also the multiple choice for your specific product inquiry. And if you're not happy with the finished inks, you can still go for your choice with the raw materials, Roto Vario paste or Metal UV paste as a base pigment to achieve nice metallic effects.
Yeah, I think that's lots of information which you practically do not have to remember, because you can look for it in the internet. You will later receive a copy of this presentation in PDF form, and within this PDF you can click on the links. So this will lead to our website where you can download the brochure or look at the portfolio already on the website. Of course, you can also ask us directly when you need a specific product and do not know how to start to look for, because it's so many products.
Yeah, and also technical product information, the TPI documents of ECKART are also now accessible via our website.
Yeah, directly available on the website. When you know what product you are using or planning to use, then you can find the data sheets as well. Thank you. Yeah. So let's now have a look at what we see as an advantage when we speak about sustainable options or developments recently in the world. So we have looked And how sustainable is ECKART already? And there is a company in the market which is ECKART, and they do a test of the company, a rating of our company ECKART, and we achieved the best possible ranking here with the EcoVadis Platinum label. And EcoVadis is looking for figures in environmental, social, and ethical performance, which they call sustainability in total, or which is sustainability in total. But just to mention that it's not only about the ecological development, but also the others, which are important as well, of course. And of course, we as ECKART, we are already looking for our reduction of this carbon dioxide footprint emission, and we are looking into a life cycle analysis at ECKART very deeply, and of course, which what everybody is doing, the process efficiency, not only to save material and costs, which is of course on the other hand also good for our nature because we consume less material or energy. So I think you've already seen the global goals, which are typically, which is a very wide approach, also reaching to social and ethical, but also of course the environmental performance overall. And we as ECKART, we identified 11 out of these 17 available goals, which are relevant for our market, where we as ECKART can make a difference. And of course, the climate neutrality is one part of it. Therefore, on the right side, you see the picture that we claim that we will be climate neutral by 2025. And this we plan to do, or this we partially did already, by changing to using only green energy from the market, but also planning to increase our own production of green electricity by solar and wind in the future. And of course, there's always a little rest of non-replaceable emissions in a production process, and this we will compensate through climate protection projects. Now let's have a look on other possible advantages we can offer. So you know that aluminium production is quite energy demanding. Thank you. And this can be reduced partially by using recycled aluminium. This means that there is by scrapping aluminium from any other use and melt it and produce the aluminium secondary ingots, then we can use these ingots to produce pigments based on this recycled aluminium. And this is already more climate neutral than only producing fresh primary aluminium. So we can use this and pass on this advantage to our customers by providing a document where the carbon footprint is mentioned for your specific product. And of course, it's impossible for us to follow the aluminium product stream and produce a single pigment out of the recycled aluminium. So we will cover this via mass balance calculation. The next slide. And eventually, one quick question I've just see here. There will be a video available, I think, in YouTube, which should be found on our website of this presentation. And yeah, I think the question with the German ink ordinance in 2026, we should discuss offline. I think that's a more complex, a complex topic, not for a quick answer here. Right in the midst of our show. Sorry. Coming back to the slide here, this is a picture we have shown on the latest on the latest exhibition in Germany on the European Coating Show. So we took exemplary numbers of aluminium pigment production and compared it to our own calculation of our product carbon footprint, which is validated by the TÜV Süd assessment. So, and in this comparison, we already proved that we are much less energy consuming by producing our aluminium pigments than other areas in other countries. And if we take the more sustainable aluminium, the recycled aluminium, which we call aluminium 2, of course, this carbon footprint can be even much more reduced. And one other very interesting comparison, because aluminium sounds like it's consuming lots of energy and therefore would be very expensive in carbon dioxide consumption, which is not totally true. By comparing only to a red pigment, for example, or the phthalocyanin, the blue pigments, we are already smaller in our consumption or production of carbon dioxide than some of the organic pigments. Of course, white and black are still a little bit smaller, but so we are not completely out of the box here, and on some comparisons already better than organic pigments, especially, of course, again, by using the recycled aluminium. So that was a lot of marketing blah blah to show why we are better, but we also can prove it. And of course, you can get also written statements with good numbers proving it. So on the one hand, we can produce product carbon footprint issue or statement and life cycle assessment statement. So on both of these data sheets, you can read the number of our carbon footprint and some further information, how we did this and how we came to that number. That's all normed and explained on these data sheets. And this can be ordered via our sustainability management here at ECKART. And we have this available already for product groups, but we can also produce and make this available for a single specific product. But of course, this is in the making, or of course, we have not all documents available immediately. It's still a lot of work to calculate and create these documents. So we will create it more or less on demand when we not have it already available. So it might take a little bit when you request such a document, or if you're lucky, we have it already available. On the next slide, it's just again a summary of the life cycle assessment, and this is just not only marketing again, which we have seen many presentations in the past, which is only promises, but we can offer here really fact-based communication on our goals for the environmental improvements, and we can provide data for you and your customers and for your own calculations when you want to calculate how are you coming forward, what is the improvement in the European Green Deal, for example, or if you want to provide data, really science-based data, what are the actual figures in carbon dioxide, and of course, how is the development going forward? How are we improving in the future? Another comparison, which we show, for example, our main competition when it comes to metallic effects on paper and board. usually is a metallized board at all, or of course foil stamping. And all of these technologies having their advantages and disadvantages. But when we speak about sustainability, we can say that we are more on the green side than the competition. For example, with foil stamping, you have typically the rest of the film when you stamp your product. So you have the film waste, which is typically used only for combustion, and also the foil stamped product in the end when you collect and recycle, or when the collector and recycling company is trying to recycle it, they usually are not able to do it, or only partially are available, possible to do and recycle it. So it's kind of a gray area for foil stamped products. And even worse for the metallized board or papers, they usually are on full packaging waste because they cannot recycle it at all. Not speaking of the full area which are metallized, and typically you overprint it by a 90% area of white to get rid of the metallic effect, to only show the 10% area which you wanted to have in a metallized design. And this, of course, is our main advantage. Using metallic inks, you only print it on the spot where you need it. And after all, after the collection and recycling, you can remove the printed e-film. And of course, the dry ink film is the waste. But the substrate, the fibers of the cardboard and the paper can be used again in the recycling stream.
Yeah, this we have proven, at least for our Topstar UV ink in the past already, that here there's no hurdle to also use the metallic areas, and you have no issues with the inking. This was externally certified by ECKART, the German Association for Paper Recycling and Paper Manufacturers. And here we had a very good score already, which is not meaning that all kinds of UV or LED curable inks will have the same score. This also depends on the substrate, on the design, on the, of course, the application weight. But this result has just shown that it is possible, and the inking is not a big hurdle here. And I'm sure there will be further developments that by using primers, by further investigations in the formulations of UV curable ink, that there is made sure that no issues are rising up with the recycling possibilities of metallic inks, also for UV and LED curable applications. Yeah. Okay. From our point, it is this session was trying to show you, give you some of our experience, and showing you the possibilities with our new setup of the portfolio of metallic inks for LED curable and UV curable inks. I saw that you had already questions, and one, I think, important question was, of course,